The process is completely different if you're doing something that's quite large, over $1 million, or you're doing bulk REOs, because the burden of proof is different. The sellers are usually asking for what's called a hard proof of funds or verification of deposit, where you're actually showing that cash in a bank account that can be used for that kind of a deal. And so those are handled on a case-by-case basis of there's just some different contracts that need to be signed, and it's a little bit of a different process. But again, you can contact us, and we'll be happy to provide the details. It's after we get to take a look at the transaction itself.
All right, let me see here, and here's one that came in with many variations pertaining to what type of credit check. Most people are familiar with hard money lenders wanting to run their credit as well as underwrite the deal itself in terms of equity, etc. So the question in many forums basically boils down to what type of credit profile do I need to qualify for your transactional funding?
Well, as you probably know, the credit environment has just changed so dramatically, where it's gotten so difficult to get any kind of loans, and people are having to have these stellar credit profiles to be able to get a traditional loan, profiles in the 700s and that sort of thing. But we have no credit check requirements, and it's not because we're irresponsible. It's because the entire deal is based on the transaction itself, and if there is a valid transaction that is on the back end that is a higher price than the A to B transaction that allows for you to make a profit and for us to be paid back, as well as pay back our minor fees, then it's a valid transaction, and the credit checks do not even come into play.
All right, fantastic. You guys hear that, right? You just heard Sherry say, so this is where people say you do not have to have perfect credit, or in this case, with transactional funding being what it is, you don't have to have tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to be successful in real estate. You have a solution here in front of you, the transactional funding itself, the money to do the A to B, so you can then do the B to C deal. You also have the fact that no credit check is required, so literally, now the only element, what I tell folks, Sherry, is, if you have these three things, you can do real estate in your sleep. And that's your cash, credit, and time. Now, if you have two of the three things, you can, you're still better off than not having any. But if you have at least time in this case, enough time to invest in your real estate business, even part-time, you don't need the cash and you don't need the credit. You just heard that over the last hour. So, keep educating yourself. Keep finding those deals, and bring them to us, and we'll see if that's something that we can help you with. Let me see. There's a couple more questions here. Let me see. And I'm just trying. The staff did their best to pull these together, but I'm still trying to collate some of them into one. Let me see. How much lead time do you require for your transactional funding?
Well, for a one-day funding deal, I can do a deal quite quickly, particularly if we've done business before. I've turned deals around in 24 hours. But as a practical matter, we would like to have a week or so. That would be wonderful. I'll admit it doesn't happen that often because it's just the nature of the business. But I'm very good at jumping through hoops to make everything happen when deals come through sort of last minute. That's for one-day funding, which is a much cleaner process. If it's a multi-day funding deal, that requires more due diligence on our part, where we need to actually be talking to the lenders, and we need to get an appraisal, we need insurance on the property. There's a few other requirements that just, as a practical matter, just take a little bit of time. So for a multi-day funding deal, we really would like it to see it in 4 or 5 days. But we can do it on shorter term for one-day funding, absolutely.
Okay, and I have a couple more questions here. And again, if you have a question, you see the link below the video to go ahead and to submit your question. The webinar screen right there should have the link right there for you to submit your question, and we will do our best to get to them. If we don't get to it exactly, we'll follow up with you. But I have a couple more here that I definitely want to get out, and then we will take the others and follow up with you afterwards. But one here, Sherry, that is asking, I'm going to ask two, because one is I know the answer is very quick. The first one is, do you fund everywhere in the United States? And the second question is, which I'm surprised it took this long for folks to ask, and that is, what are the fees for the transactional funding? So do you fund everywhere in the United States, and then what are the fees for the transactional funding?
Yes, we fund everywhere in the United States, and the fees are very reasonable. It's dependent on the amount of the transaction. So it ranges from 2 to 3% up to $1 million. We have a $495 transaction fee for each transaction. And one thing that we do offer is if you have a deal that is under $100,000, a lot of times you'll find that there's a minimum of $2,200 or $2,400 or something like that for a transactional funding fee, where we'll go down and charge as little as 2% on $50,000, so that that would only be $1,000 plus the $495 transaction fee. So your fee can be as low as $1,495. Now that's true if the deal is $10,000, or if it's $40,000 or $50,000, it's still going to be a minimum of $1,495. But it's 2% for $50,000 up to $250, 2.5% from $250 to $500, and then 3% from $500 to $1 million. And then after that becomes negotiable, and that is based on the one-day funding program.
Okay, and we're going to close with this question. It's very, very creative, and they say some of the smartest people are in jail. Some people are just too smart for their own good. You know, it's called that cleverness just gets a lot of people in trouble. But this question is, can I use your transactional funding for my buyer's funding? So that's a pretty creative twist on the presentation here. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to that. But
yeah, no, cannot use it for the buyer's funding because of the that would create one of those things like if you try to do a thing on Excel and you try to add up the wrong numbers together and it becomes an infinite circle or something. It just will not work because we're getting paid back by the second deal. So if we were to provide the funds for the second deal and provide the funds for the first deal, we would be out twice and never get paid back. So no, we don't do any funding for the second deal.
Good try. You know, I love the creativity, but
yeah. Right.
There are enough deals out here. Short sales, REOs, FSBOs. There are enough deals and opportunities out there for you to find a C buyer, FHA funding, conventional funding, cash buyer, or what have you, for you to be able to use this, what I consider to be missing piece of the puzzle in today's environment, where everyone's, you know, if they're not cash strapped, they're holding on to it as if they are. That is their cash. For you to take this missing piece and for it to be an integral part of your real estate investing success here for the rest of 2010 and beyond. So, Sherry, I really do appreciate your time. I also appreciate the time of all of you that have logged on to this live presentation, District RIA members, as well as guests that are listening from wherever you are around the country. We do our best here with District RIA, Tammy Phelps and myself, Andre Johnson, to bring you very cutting-edge information, resources, and solutions to your real estate investing challenges and opportunities. You can find out more about District RIA at www.districtria.com. You can find out more about this transactional funding opportunity and solution at www.wefundflips.com. Go ahead and make sure you log on to wefundflips.com to download the bonuses that Sherry had offered you today. And with that, Sherry, I want to again thank you for being on the call. Thank everyone.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed being here, and I appreciate you inviting me to talk with you guys.
All right, sounds good. And again, if we did not get to your personal question, don't feel as though that we just ignored it. We did our best in the time allotments we have here to answer all of them. We will follow up with you, or if not, just go ahead and contact us at www.wefundflips.com, and we'll be happy to serve you. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. I will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.